For April the 21st, 2017, we talk about driverless cars learning from Grand Theft Auto 5, Drawn to Death, and we do a free play multiplayer. Welcome to level 193. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Weissmith.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. I don't want to call attention to the fact that I'm losing my voice, possibly allergy related, but if I do lose my voice, will one of you be here to back me up with the talking?
All right, I want everyone's best Cole impression right now, starting with Ben.
I'd rather...
Hello, guys. How are you doing this week? Do we have any banter? I can't get the tenor of your voice, Cole.
You wound
Few
me.
people can.
You wound me.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, David. Wound me. Hurt me more.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Okay.
I come with.
That's just what Cole says.
That sounds like an impression of me. Well, Dennis, that was amazing what you just said there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I've been practicing.
So wow.
That's like one of the other podcasts that I listen to is an improv where people are playing multiple parts, and one of the guys just doesn't do voices, so he uses the same voice for all the characters that he does, and they just repeatedly use that to write the wrong character, and I'll be like, I know you said that, and I asked the question to you, and
of course
he won't stoop to doing a voice, though. He will suffer through the ridicule.
Yeah.
That's campaign pod. I feel like I shouldn't be surreptitious about what podcast.
Which podcast is that?
It's called Campaign, which is nigh ungoogleable, but it is a Star Wars and tabletop game based improv. So very fun.
I really feel we need laws about Googleable names.
I mean,
also, the name of the law needs to involve the word Googleable.
Yep.
Yep.
It was a great Googleable.
Yeah. It's tough, right? Because you want to make sure. I don't know, like if there's some part of me that is poisoned by marketing to really want to avoid namespace pollution, but here we are. Like this is where we're at. Like I think the law is literally just that if you are ungoogleable, you just don't succeed.
Well, also be unique.
Yeah.
See, I think the problem actually isn't when you can't find a product. It's when you can't not find a product.
Okay.
So,
Did you just want to say something kind of profound and then dip?
No. I just mean,
see you guys next week.
The problem wouldn't be not so much not being able to find something called campaign. The problem is when you're trying to do a research paper on the such and such campaign in World War II, and you can't find anything but commentary on the podcast.
Oh my God, yeah. So there's a great image that made the rounds of someone searched Knuckles. And, it was a bunch of Knuckles from Sonic and Knuckles. And so they tried human Knuckles, and it was a bunch of, fan art of Knuckles as an actual person. God damn it.
Oh, geez. Some of these are amazing. Oh, I thought that was just a shitty drawing, but actually I think that it is. Okay, so this is Knuckles if he was a human, but also a My Little Pony.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Human Knuckles. Yeah. Should have done that incognito.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fucked, guys. I'm fucked.
There's also
Amazon's
pictures of people dressing up like Knuckles as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
How far until you actually get to actual human Knuckles?
I see a picture here. It's like a bone diagram of Knuckles. Yeah. So
and they're also holding their actual knuckles towards the camera.
Yeah, brass knuckles and all that. How was everybody's week?
It's good. I got a bike, so I was happy about that.
Oh, nice.
Okay, nice.
I've only ridden it a little bit though. So
well, guess you're not really serious about running then.
I ran yesterday, and I might be running a 10K this weekend, maybe, but we'll see.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
nice. That's awesome.
Now, are you worried about having the motivation to actually start, or are you worried about just dying and dropping dead in a ditch before you finish?
It's like one of those things where my roommate asked if one of her coworkers could sign me up to do it, and I said sure, but I don't know if it's happening or not. So if it is,
I see. Yep.
Then I'll run it. But if it's not, I'm probably just gonna hang out.
I really enjoyed, I guess the Boston Marathon was today. I really enjoyed, people, some of the more inspirational racers. Most notably, the lady who was the first woman to run the Boston Marathon and halfway through, I guess, got disqualified for being a woman. Completed it. Completed it again 50 years later.
Oh shit! I thought you were talking about today. That's like
no, not today. No. She ran again today after 50 years, but 50 years ago she ran it and had some like random judge just like grab her number and throw it away. And then there was a military veteran that had lost his leg that was had one of the like prosthetics that ran the race, had a person there to help him.
Mm-hmm.
But then the person there to help him got injured, so we proceeded to carry her the rest of the way. And then there's another guy who actually I think had lost both his legs that just ran the entire race with a giant American flag just because, I don't know, patriotism.
Like on the synthetic legs or the I don't even know how to describe it. The
portal legs.
The Blade Runner legs. Yeah.
The better than human legs.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Except apparently they're incredibly painful to run on.
So,
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
because I mean, if you think about it, you're basically like resting on your like bone and skin.
Yeah. You don't have the entire apparatus of your ankle, helping to absorb that shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard that like in response to like, Oscar Pistorius, obviously, not a great dude, turns out. But no, like people are saying, he's got an advantage. And he's like, okay, yeah, maybe, but this is hard. Yeah. I don't know.
I was just thinking, like, I know they've done things like, actually, Dennis, you probably know this better than I do. Like in CrossFit, there's a lot of adaptive. So like people have physical limitations that do CrossFit, and like people that like have are missing their legs or whatever, even in like bench press will tend to have significantly less weight they can lift just because like your body works as a unit. So I would think even just not having whatever the biomechanics of like having a lower leg would probably be a pretty severe disadvantage.
Yeah, it's, I mean, kind of crazy to give somebody shit for that. Yeah.
I think there was some study that they did on Oscar Pistorius where they're like, the amount of energy he's expending to go the same speed is not less than normal runners do, therefore it's fair or something like that. Yeah. Which I don't know how they tested that. I also know Jala will be mad if we don't mention, because she posted on the Slack, there was also a caveman that finished the Boston Marathon.
Okay.
Glenn Rains finished the marathon wearing a loincloth, a bone necklace, and nothing else.
And it's ran it San barefoot. Francisco.
Yeah, so ran it barefoot and everything.
What do you remember? Dennis once had a adventure with a 5K and like some island. But but we were on a cruise ship and they said that the staff weren't allowed to enter the race. So one of the staff that wanted to enter the race proceeded to somehow get a gorilla costume and run the entire race in a gorilla costume.
Yeah. I mean, like, my understanding is, if you can think of it, somebody's probably already done it, like running while they solve a Rubik's Cube, or running
Juggling
a full marathon
Rubik's
backward. Yeah, it's... Yeah.
Moonwalk a marathon. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Life goal.
by the end, like, the soles of their shoes and their feet are just worn down. Just moonwalking on nubs. Yeah.
Oh, man. Stump walking. Ooh.
I see. Dennis, how was your week?
It was good. It was jam-packed, just with family stuff over Easter and all that.
Yeah. This was Easter, wasn't it?
But it was good. Started landscape work outside, mowing the lawn, suburbia stuff.
Oh, yeah. As you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. David, how about you? How are things where you're at?
Pretty good. I am officially living on a mattress in my parents' basement, so that's the thing.
Hey,
word.
It's happened to all of us.
But no, I've actually got some pretty good prospects in Cincinnati, so wish me luck, y'all.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, everybody send David your well wishes. Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure UPS takes that, right?
Yeah. You have to pay extra for the. It's weird. It's things with no weight. It's asymptotic. They charge they charge infinitely more as the weight approaches zero.
You ever try to ship a conscience? My God.
They tax the sentimental value of it.
Every UPS truck just has a little boy in the back who is meant to hold all of the sentiment. And they just whisper it into his ear, and then they drive where it needs to go. Then he whispers it back to the carrier. Then he walks up, whispers it into your ear, and then he taps it into his little PDA, and you get the text alert that says, "Hey, it's been delivered."
Mm-hmm. Wow.
You haven't heard about this?
You'll find out soon, David. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and my week, I mean, is it going to surprise anybody? Just a bunch of podcast work. The most notable thing is that my air conditioner went out, and I'm upset by how upset it made me.
You just got to pretend like you're in a spa for a couple of days.
Yeah, for a couple of days straight.
Of course it can't break when it's just kind of meh out. It's got to break when the world is like, yeah, let's do summer.
Yeah, when the sun's like, whoa, spring break. Yeah. No, it was like 82 degrees in my bedroom at night. It sucked. And I know that like there are people who are saying like, oh, that's what I sleep every night. Like I'm used to 73, man. Come on.
Just you're on high.
Climb down off of my dick for a second. But anyway, yeah. So
writing that down as a title.
Climb
Get
down
off
for
of Cole's dick.
Just climb down for a second. It'll be a sequel to last week's title.
It's like, please don't yell at me. Climb down off my dick, and then it gets more aggressive from there.
Seriously, back off. And episode 200 is just psh.
Yeah.
No, sounds like we've all had an eventful week, but we've got I think an even more eventful show. I have no idea how eventful the show is going to be.
Good segue. I like it.
Yeah, it's fine. But we've got the usual stuff for you: the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. And why don't we get started with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Let's see. Dennis, I want to hear this story because I read it when you sent it over, and I got real angry.
Yeah, so I'm also and this doesn't mean anything to anyone listening, but I'm posting the original story. So basically, there was a documentary on Horizon Zero Dawn that dropped, and it showed lots of cool little behind the scenes stuff, including just kind of some of the efficiencies that they use for rendering the game. Which obviously is incredibly visually detailed. And so it kind of had a fixed camera up away from where the character is, but showing where the character's sight line was moving, and the world kind of popping into focus and dropping out of focus, assets, loading and unloading kind of just in time as they came on screen.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I
just
assume that happens all the time in reality.
Every video game takes place in a perfectly solipsistic universe. But I mean, just like, hey, here's a cone of vision. Nothing outside of the cone of vision is being rendered, so they don't have to waste resources on stuff you're never going to see.
Yep, exactly. And Ben, you actually texted me this GIF, and I responded back. I was like, "Oh, cool. I wonder if like all games use that." And Ben, who is not an asshole, said, "Oh yeah, like they started way back with Crash Bandicoot." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," and then went on with my life. Whereas when other people who are not game developers were like, "Oh, cool. Like, what is this thing?" A bunch of developers got really, really snarky about it and like couldn't believe that people weren't familiar with this technique and all that stuff.
Oh, I mean, you don't know frustrum calling?
Yeah, frustrum calling, of course.
Well, you were like a little child.
Yeah.
Oh, our sweet baby boy Dennis.
Yeah, it was such a sheltered child that I'm not familiar with frustrum calling and whatever. Intentionally said wrong. Yes. But so yeah, that part of the story is just that even people in the games industry are not immune to being kind of, pardon the pun, because the GIF is of like a forest, but unable to see the forest for the trees once they've been in the industry long enough. Like they assume that everyone knows what they know in a really asinine way. Yeah. But this was a small section of people, and most people were cool about it. But also just really interesting to get a behind the scenes peek at the way this game and a lot of other games are doing some of the really cool graphical stuff that we're seeing.
No, it's good. I mean, like, and even if the information isn't new to you, I really take umbrage at being angry about somebody getting excited about learning something new, no matter how basic that might seem to you.
Although I can understand, like, doing a lot of interviews now with non-technical people, it's really not frustrating that they don't know, but it is very frustrating, like, trying to figure out, do I explain something and sound like, and maybe seem like I'm like treating them like they're stupid, or do I not explain it and then seem like I'm condescending because, like, of course everyone knows this,
Well, how about this? Ask.
True, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I definitely know what you're saying. Explanation is very important, and to me personally, it has been for a career. Not with this stuff, but with stuff at work. Yeah, I said that in a really asinine way. I'm very sorry.
It's really easy to sound condescending on this stuff. Yeah,
it is. But no, like, just deciding how to make something approachable and understandable to people with no assumptions about where they're coming from is inherently fraught, especially when you don't want to be like accused of mansplaining, or worse, you don't want to actually mansplain to somebody. There's a bunch of shit like that. It's just, I don't know. It's having looked at this and having like looked at the article, I don't think anybody actually came out and said, like, I don't think that what's the developer's name behind Horizon Zero Dawn?
Oh, Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, I don't think Guerrilla came out and said, "Look at this amazing new thing that we are doing." Like they weren't charlatans getting out there and saying, "If you heat the wheat and water, it turns into bread." Voila! Like. No, they were just like, hey, here's one way that we do this, and like here it is in a GIF, like a very short, like 4-second GIF that loops over and over again. Like, I don't know, like that is effective explanation, and there, every day there is somebody who could see that and could learn a great deal. I don't know, I'm getting indignant about this. I just like reading these selected tweets is making me kind of upset.
Yeah, it's people who don't have enough friends who are not in the game industry,
I suppose. I don't know. Yeah,
I'm still a little bit disturbed though that when like you're in a game and you find an adorable dog, if you turn away, you have caused that dog to exist, and it is all your fault.
Well, we don't know that, because I think for like AI controlled stuff, if you're interacting with like a robot or whatever, it has to kind of remember where that is when it's off screen,
and it needs to do something to maintain state. Either that, or it's like creepy Watson, and whenever you're not looking at him, he is pinned behind you. Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't want to let. I was gonna say, I don't want game developers to get a bad rap, because I feel like a lot of people are pretty forthcoming with like how they do stuff in games, and like a lot of videos from Game Developers Conference are really interesting to see stuff that you wouldn't really think about.
This is a couple of bad eggs, I think.
Yeah.
Not literally. Well, this article is they blurred out the developers' names and stuff like that. Like it's not everybody, but like if you have that instinct to when somebody expresses amazement to go, yeah, oh well, maybe step away from Twitter for like a second.
Yeah. Although I like the honesty. This article comes from Polygon, and the honesty of early on, it says, it talks about the post, and it says this post has become an object of ridicule among certain game development circles because this is the internet and we needed a controversy today.
Yep.
It's like, well, at least you're honest about it. That's cool.
Yeah.
This makes me wonder, I wonder how, I'm assuming this is more or less how they do, the Layers of Fear and stuff like that, the horror game, you turn around and everything's different.
I mean, or like Antichamber or something like that.
Stuff like that.
I'm not knowledgeable enough. Oh, good.
I wonder how hard that is to do, how much harder that technique is than what they're doing here. I guess what I'm saying is I wonder how much harder it is to do this without people noticing, as opposed, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, well,
gotcha, yeah.
And there are times where you will round a corner or something like that, and you'll see the world kind of pop in, that's a lot of what happens too, or even on older games or games that are not properly optimized, as you approach a texture, it won't kind of phase from the low detail to the high detail version of it quickly enough. Mm-hmm. All of that mm-hmm. is stuff that's out there, but everybody had to learn it for the first time once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the thing. You don't have to always be pooping. Right?
What?
You don't have to always be pooping. I don't know. My life has
gotten.
But
you also can't not poop.
Right. But just hey, maybe don't always be on Twitter just taking a shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the. I think that's the takeaway. My life has gotten a lot better since I stopped reading a Twitter timeline and just responded to mentions and used it. It's a write-only medium, which is fine.
See, it's funny. I'm really pissed at Facebook because the only thing I use it for is the level page.
Oh yeah.
And events and messages, but their API, there's no way to just have it not show me my timeline.
Oh yeah, the top thing, which is algorithmically picked to raise your blood pressure. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Ugh. Why'd you do this to me, Dennis? I'm so angry.
Well, because you're not doing it to yourself. I had to enforce it.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe a cool takeaway of the story is it's really cool that in video games, the rendering of the environment and the environment are independent of one another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm also kind of impressed that they were able to, I don't know, render it wrong in a cool way. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
In terms of, actually making this GIF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just peel the skin back. Kind of literally. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see here. Ben, you have some stories about simulation.
One's just kind of a weird one because it should probably belong in what we've been playing, even though we haven't played it. But I'll talk about the other one first. One is that they're using the world of Grand Theft Auto 5 to teach AI cars how to drive.
We're fucked.
Yeah. And the article leads with this isn't the only thing they're using, this is just a side thing. There's a huge backpedaling at the start of the article. But they're just talking about how there's only so much data they can get from some of the simulated environments they already have, so they're just using this as a side tool because it's kind of a pre-set up environment and it can go as fast as the speed of their computers that they're running to do it. So they can kind of get a lot of data from it very quickly. So basically what they're using is they're using the different weather conditions and driving traffic jam sort of conditions to find out how cars can react to those. And I think the main breakthrough is that they had a team at a university, I don't have the name off the top of my head, was able to basically parse what was happening in the Grand Theft Auto world and basically explain to the API of the self-driving cars that they have the equivalent of that. So this is a road, this is a line, that sort of thing.
This is a hooker.
Yes. Yep. important for self-driving cars to know.
Right.
What have you guys? So are they doing any of the like moral choice stuff, like which do you run over a school bus full of hookers or a school bus full of nuns?
Oh, jeez.
I have not read any of that yet.
Human life is a human life. Yeah, like the I guess it doesn't seem like they're running trolley problems.
No. One thing that I thought was interesting too is there's one company in particular called Waymo, which I hadn't heard before, but they're a startup in California that's trying to make self-driving car software. They also have like their own in-house like simulated environment, which they use to test this sort of thing. Yeah. And then I think one of the interesting things is they'll talk about how when they're doing physical tests and the human like will take control of the car, they can go back and like play all the stats that they have in the computer's program and then figure out what the computer would have done and then kind of course correct based on that. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be cool to see if they were able to have the AI driven car and the and like a human actor in there, because like, you know, if you stand on a street corner in Grand Theft Auto, like things are going to be, you know, they're going to proceed kind of orderly, right? You know, there's a little bit of randomness to it, but otherwise, like, people will generally follow the rules of the road. But if you get somebody in there who is not like you doing the usual like Grand Theft Auto kind of stuff, but like acting unpredictably, like, hey, here's somebody who like blows through a stop sign or something like that. Like those incredibly complex things are what I really want a driverless car to have on point. And I think that throwing humans into the equation is actually what is necessary. And you know, don't write in. I know that that is happening. Like people are testing them with humans and stuff. But like in a simulation, like that is a low stakes way to put that human element in without actually putting somebody in danger.
But yeah,
I'm never getting a self-driving car. Screw that noise.
Fortunately, are you saying you're never getting, or you're never getting in one? Because when self-driving cars come along, you're not going to have to own a car.
That's true.
I don't see myself ever not owning a car.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see that Grand Theft Auto 5 being used as kind of like a life simulator. It would be cool if they had a partnership where like GTA 5 made it really easy for people to use that information and then turn around and be like, all right, now we get your AI in the next game that we make so we can actually have things drive like that. So.
Yeah. Do you remember, did any of you guys ride in the taxi cabs much in, I think it was 4?
Yeah.
Where they would just blatantly run into things?
Yep. Yeah, that was always funny, like especially if you hurried them
very
up.
lifelike, yeah. Given it's New York City, but
yeah, this is cool. Well, what's the other story, Ben?
The other brief story I had is a game that I need to look up the title of. It's UEBS, which stands
Ultimate
for
Epic Battle Simulator.
Yeah, which is a game that was released recently at the beginning of April, and it's already like blown up in popularity. But basically, it's a fighting simulator that can be as big as your processor can handle. So it has like basically different types of fighting units, and you set them up on the train. You pick what direction they're heading into and like what teams they're on, and they just fight one another.
Okay.
So some of the different types of types of classes that they have Roman soldiers, they have World War II soldiers, they have zombies, they have orcs. They have giant turtles. They have a team called the Golden Knights, which are like these like heroes. I think they have Chuck Norrises in there that are also like a hero class.
Okay.
I believe the plural is Chuck Norri.
Excuse me. They have Chuck Norri in here. So apparently a bunch of people are just streaming this just as a kind of like a fun simulator. Yeah,
I'm just saying we could totally crowdfund an AWS instance and ramp it up as money comes in.
and that's how the singularity is achieved.
Who knew the singularity would be achieved with turtles fighting medieval knights?
Yeah, it is as big as a turtle can get. Jesus. Yeah, I'm looking at a video of this. That's crazy. Huh. Yeah, this looks to me like what Rome Total War looked like to me 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back and look at Rome Total War, it's, you know, Babytown frolics. But this, like, in 15 years is going to look similarly kind of crazy because, like, the animations are triggering at the same time. It looks a little bit clunky, but, like, in a macro, it's crazy.
Yeah, the models aren't even sentient. I can't believe people were ever impressed by this.
Yep. So basically Pong.
Yeah.
It's also
that needs to be
fun.
the next unit. Pong paddles.
It's fun to see people stress test their computers, and it's like, all right, we're going to put 10,000 units against 10,000 units and drop to like 4 frames a second.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. My computer actually, it turned into a molten slag of metal, and it is currently, it's descending to the core of the Earth. Well,
my computer is now the third team.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, the messing with the scale of this seems to be where the magic is at.
Yeah, and I think one of the features is you can possess one of the soldiers that's fighting, so you can try and have them take control and like flank the people if you want to. But yeah.
Oh Jesus, that's kind of disturbing. Like this guy got all the like a bunch of different units, like a sea of them clumped up together, like in the middle of a field. And then he dropped a nuke, and then just like they fell like dominoes. And then he did a low swoop over them to like see the carnage. It was. Yeah,
that's another feature of the game. It's the equivalent of flipping a table. Is you can just nuke the map.
Yeah, it's like playing Lemmings.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think one of the interesting ones too is someone who put World War II soldiers against Roman soldiers and was inching them progressively closer to one another to see if the Roman soldiers could overwhelm the World War II ones. But it just ended up that they would just mow them down like from where they stood.
Yeah.
So
civilization doesn't work. I mean the game, but also the,
also the reality.
Yeah. Also, humans living in more than groups of maybe a handful in a cabin somewhere.
Yeah, the battles were not as close as they are in Civ. Yeah.
I do love some of the matchups, although I've always been disappointed by like what was it, like Deadliest Warrior and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
not how so? Just because they lowball it, or
they tend to ignore context.
Okay.
Just like they tend to ignore the like outside factors of like why certain weapons were used, or like what would be some of the additional factors. Like for example, sometimes injuring your opponent is more effective than killing them, because then they have to medevac. Or just a lot of matchups. There's a really actually pretty good analysis I've read that was like a Victorian fencer versus a samurai.
Okay.
And like one of the things is like, yeah, there's actually a pretty good chance that the fencer could like outmaneuver and outfight the samurai. The only problem is that the samurai would probably cut him in half, because you can take a stab, you can't take a decapitation.
Right.
I think the main context for the show is people like to argue about this stuff, so they factor that in pretty well.
So, I mean, it's kind of like us. They sometimes just say blatantly wrong shit to make people angry.
Yeah. Also, the video game was crap.
Wait a minute, there was a video game in this show?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's it was basically take For Honor and make it crap.
Okay.
Like,
I don't have anything snarky about that. I've never played For Honor, so.
Yeah, I just all I know about For Honor is that the like unfortunate accidental white supremacist thing.
Oh yeah, the Deus Vult thing. Yeah. No, that's shithead's gonna suck. Yeah. I've got a short one before we get to your fun one, David. This is, again, I think that I just gravitate towards the announcements, but so PlayStation 4 since launch have included 512 megabyte hard drives. Okay, you think, okay, that's small, and then you install 2 games, you think, okay, I'm fine. Then you go to install a third game, and you're done for. You're also done for if you have a like PlayStation Plus, if you pay for their services and stuff. But no longer, kind of, because Sony is now shipping 1 terabyte hard drives in their PlayStation 4s. The Slim one specifically, bringing them up to parity with the PlayStation Pro, which is good. Again, double the space is better than nothing. But here's what I'm actually going to tell you, which is, I think I alluded to it earlier on a show. A recent PS4 system update allows you to plug in external storage. Now, I know that you can swap out the internal hard drive on a PS4, but I don't really feel like doing that. And it's not, just whatever. But I went out and I got just a 4 terabyte, portable, USB 3.0 drive and plugged it in and installed all my shit. And I'm not even, 1/3 of the way full. I never have to worry about this again. It's just dangling out of the front of my PS4. I got a special USB cable that's at 90 degrees, so it sits flush with the thing itself. And this is no longer a problem. I don't have to clean out the fridge anymore. So it's good that Sony is upping the storage ceiling on their base model, but take advantage of this. It is such a huge quality of life improvement if you are relying on the PS4 in any meaningful way.
So basically, we're back to the plug-in memory cards.
Kinda.
But it's more flexible now. In the best possible way, though.
I mean, they're massive, and also it just sits on top of the thing. It's fine.
How did they not have this to begin with, though?
I don't know.
Because, I mean,
the Wii U had
the difference in price between the 2 hard drives can't have been virtually anything at that scale.
A 512 megabyte hard drive is not appreciably cheaper. But then again, you're talking about a big company where every cent matters. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they got enough complaints. Maybe they listen to the show.
I assume so.
Hi, Sony. Yeah.
Hello there, Mr. Sony.
The Sony collective.
Yep. David, what's a story you got about Day of the Tentacle?
Sure. So this one's a little bit weird. Someone whereby someone I mean the website is down devblog. Constructed a dependency graph of all of the puzzles in the game. So they basically have each puzzle color coded by the character you need to complete it, and incoming edges or connections or whatever are from the puzzles that you need to complete to unlock that puzzle, and then outgoing ones are the ones that completing the puzzle unlocks. And it's just kind of crazy seeing the graph. That's actually pretty cool. But they then go on and do some neat analysis of it, kind of looking at how they structured the game. So some of the kind of insights are that there's kind of an overall flow of the game in terms of, it starts out linear. It kind of explodes into, being very non-linear, where there's a bunch of puzzles in play at once.
Yeah. And
then it slowly narrows back down to kind of the linear outro that concludes the story.
Yeah, the possibility space kind of bulges at the center.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And they also point out that, for example, right after the part where it kind of gets non-linear, there's you basically immediately unlock 13 different puzzles, which just those puzzles, there's several billion orders in which they could be completed.
Oh gosh.
And so one of the things they then investigate is they look at they isolate the puzzles only by dependency.
Yep.
And so that only one flow down of puzzles, and basically point out that each of those are mapped to the general subplots of the game, which is how they handle having all this choice without the having narrative contradictions.
Right.
And then they point out that because of the fact that within a kind of a sublane there's so many choices, and because in order to solve these puzzles you have to switch characters all the time. Basically, you don't notice the fact that you're actually not switching between stories, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because like your journey through this game is going to be like progressing until you get stuck, and either going to find an easier puzzle somewhere else or looking for something that feeds into the current puzzle that you're in, and you're just kind of like always like juggling or like doing like a bucket brigade. Right. With items or possibilities. Yeah.
And then the other, yeah, exactly. And then the other kind of insight that I don't think they go into real in depth, but kind of the counterpoint to this is if you do want to have some interaction between the different subplots, all you have to do is have a dependency on a puzzle and one subplot to another, and that's a way you can basically gate the subplot in order to ensure that some narrative from the other one has happened already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, sure. So yeah, it's actually it's just kind of a cool infographic, but then gets into some cool gameplay design. I'd be really interested to see this with other games, just to see kind of what insights could be drawn from some of them. Look at like some of the Mass Effect games.
Yeah. The depressing part is actually probably that like Mass Effect is better represented as like a Matrix, just because like you are just kind of like messing with a couple of different variables, and there's not an awful lot of stuff that like leads into another. It's mostly like flags that trip up that say, hey, this thing's going to happen a little bit later. It's not, you're not dealing with a lot of like inputs and outputs.
Sure. Well, and I actually think that would be kind of interesting because, I think it'd be interesting to do an analysis to see, like, does that work better? Like, what are the consequences of that? Mm-hmm. And similarly, like, it'd be interesting to kind of look at some of the, decision space or whatever to see, for example, like, the complaints about, the ending of Mass Effect N+1, all our choices don't matter. Like, looking at, why do people feel that way? Stuff like that.
Yeah. Like it's not going to be divergent or, purely divergent from every single point. It's not going to spin out. Like it's going to probably be brought back into a similar kind of place.
I've always been interested. I mean, I'm sure it would be rapidly become impossible to do, but if a game really committed to the idea that it was going to be more and more divergent as the story goes on, to the point of writing like just vastly different endings for a bunch of different outcomes.
This is a thing like on smaller scales, like the way the samurai games are very short, like 3-hour games that are meant to be played over and over again, that like your individual decisions will actually take you onto different paths. And so like there's a lot of content there. You just have to iterate through it.
Or David's favorite game, The Stanley Parable.
That's actually one I would like to see. And I actually think there is a flow chart in the game.
Yeah, there is.
Another one that's kind of an interesting, like, there are two ones that would be interesting counterpoints are Fallen London, mm-hmm. Where basically the way they handle it is via the metagame. So, everything happens. It's just you might not understand it at the time.
Yeah.
And, might realize it later.
I mean, and they keep track of that state with your character, right? Like, like it affects the way that your actual attributes and flags, tick up. And then that is what causes the changes when you walk into a new situation. It's not like doing one thing in the world will affect another thing directly.
Exactly. But at the same time, like if you don't, most of the time, even if you couldn't, your character can't recognize it, they tend not to hide narrative. So so it's like they'll still reference whatever that's happening. You just won't be equipped to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Another one I think would be interesting is they point out the fact that the graph basically only has one node with one root node with no incoming nodes, and one leaf node with no outgoing nodes, because there's one start and one win condition. It'd be interesting to see like a Virtue's Last Reward or something like that, where everything's just jacked up, just to see like how that would end up.
Yeah, but even VLR, like, that has one root and one ultimate leaf at the very bottom of it, and it just has a bunch of dead ends out on every side. Again, much to Jala's chagrin.
Yeah,
okay.
So not necessarily.
Is that
the way
true
the game plays? Oh, go ahead.
Is that true in the most recent one as well?
It's a little bit more complicated. The overall game takes the structure of a flowchart like that. However, within each of those nodes, it is incredibly fractured, and the input and output is not directly, in all cases, tied to whatever came before or after it.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, so two things about this. I love seeing a Gantt chart. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing a Gantt chart for Day of the Tentacle is neat. Also, like looking at this, again, not to like say, well, because of the things that I do, but like when we did the Watch Out for Fireballs about Day of the Tentacle, it was actually very difficult to figure out how to talk about the individual, the individual character lines and like the major puzzles, and so we ended up like grouping them like thematically almost. Like, hey, here's the challenge that you need to solve as this character, and then just kind of like going and dipping in other places, but like generally keeping it, organized by the time frame that you warp to. Like, it was actually like it was a challenge figuring out the way to structure those notes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was in I'm sure it's more complicated than it looks, but I when I clicked on the link to see it, I was expecting something just like monstrously complex. And there's less than 70 discrete pieces on this chart in total, which again that's still very complex, but it's less so than I was expecting.
Yeah. One of the other interesting things is there's apparently 32 times when characters have to interact. So when you have to do something as one character to enable another, which is apparently roughly half of the like things you have to do in the game, basically.
Yeah. It's a good game. It's a good game, Bront.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I don't know that I have anything else to add about that. Like, this is in the show notes. Like, go and take a look at it. This is fucking great. Look at it if you've played Day of the Tentacle. I'm not worried too much about spoilers, but it's kind of the heavy rain problem. If you know the way that things are stitched together, it loses a little bit of the magic. Yeah.
I do enjoy, though, just randomly reading the titles of the puzzles.
Have you played the game?
I've not.
Oh wow.
But
I've not.
There you go.
Shame on you. Shame on all of you.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask, but no, sorry, I was on autopilot there, where we reverse things, and instead of us asking you a question, you ask us a question.
We're normal this week.
Yeah, we're normal this week. Sorry, my brain is backwards. It's a very busy time at the network. But people write in and give us prompts to talk about. Starting here with David, who says, you have 2 games in front of you. You can only play one and only play it once. Which do you pick? The best game ever that will only last 5 hours, or a great game that will last 40? So
this is a really good question, by the way.
This is a fantastic question. Here's the thing. So let's build in the assumption that like one of these is the only game you can ever play. It's not just like, hey, by picking one you jettison the other. Like you have to pick, this is the video game that you're going to experience, assuming that you have enough literacy in the forum to actually, or in the medium,
appreciate it,
to actually appreciate it. Just kind of like
stakes, man.
Yeah. Okay, so best ever at 5 or really good at 40.
So I was thinking about this question. To me, this is like Portal versus Fallout New Vegas.
God, why'd you have to put it in those terms? Because now I can't decide.
See, I feel like, are we allowed to factor in whether I guess, is the 5-hour game objectively better, or could we say that like long form games are long form storytelling is better than short form?
I don't think that can be assumed. I think that built into this, we have to take that part of it at its word. One of these is going to be the paragon of the craft, no matter what your individual values are, and the other one is going to be maybe substandard, but you're going to have more of it. Okay,
because I would say like for New Vegas, like the length is part of the feature.
Yeah. I would say that too. I think New Vegas kind of breaks the model because like there's plenty in that. I'll just go out and say this, like the 5-hour one for sure.
Yeah, I think I'd go with the 5-hour one, despite that being contrary to my normal MO.
Yeah, I just like, I don't know, like on a long enough timeline, the difference between 5 hours and 40 hours is not it's not appreciable. You know, like if it's the only one you're ever going to play. And again, I'm reading that into what he said, but otherwise, I don't think it's a very interesting question. No, it's a very interesting question regardless, but I think it's much more interesting if I use that ambiguity to make it a real difficult choice. Yeah, 5 hours for sure.
Yeah,
I'm in the same place.
Yeah, I think the fact that like that the 40-hour game is not as good is like a huge thing, because like I was trying to think of game equivalents of this. For example, like The Witness, like I really love that game, and that does a whole bunch that you couldn't do in a short amount of time. And there's like, I mean, there's some things that and same thing with RPGs. There's things that you can do in longer games that you just can't do in shorter games. And so there is like depth that's built into a game of that type. But given that it's not the best game and that it's just a great game, I think I would go with the 5-hour one as well.
But like, here's the difference: is if it's you're limiting it to video games and it's like, okay, one will last 5, one will last 40, but regardless, then I can go read a book. Like then then it seems like 5 is an easy one for me to say yes to.
Yeah.
If it was like you get one of these that is your only form of entertainment for the rest of forever.
Oh yeah.
Then I would go to 40, because at that point just the more is better because it's the only thing, and so I wanted to pad it out a little bit.
Yeah,
I would just record me playing the 5-hour game.
I would say if I think of like games that have, I don't know, influenced my thinking or like had a lasting impact, I'm trying to think. The only one I can think of that's particularly long would be Life is Strange, and even that's not that long.
Yeah, it's like a 15-hour game.
Right. I mean, But other than that, we'd have like Gone Home, Spec Ops.
Yeah. And there's nothing saying that a short game has to be simplistic. Like right now for Watch Out for Fireballs, I'm playing a game called Crimson Shroud. It is a 3DS JRPG developed by the guy who did like Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12 and Ogre Battle, Vagrant Story, all of that. Like it is a 6-hour JRPG that is super crunchy and super has like a tremendous amount of depth to it. Like, I take exception to the idea that there is something inherent about length that makes something more more noteworthy, right?
Well, I do think there's certain things you can achieve with
the Stanley Parable.
Well, I mean, but then you have the Stanley Parable and Gone Home, similarly length games. Like go ahead, Ben.
I do think there's certain things you can achieve if you have more of like a time span to do them in.
Yeah,
like there are some advantages to having like a longer game where you can kind of like set up more arcs or do more things.
Yeah.
Or like if you want like a meditative game or something that you need to think about for a long amount of time, like I don't know. So I do think there's some things you can get if you have a longer amount of time.
Yeah, and at this point it's like, okay, is it like you're limited at 5 hours, then it goes away forever? Can you play it over and over again?
I think he says you can only play it once.
Okay. Yes, you can only play it once. There we go. But if you just never stop playing it and you get an infinite amount of time out of this 5-hour thing because it's built into a huge, again, like system. Yeah.
Now we're just arguing with the DM.
But like it informs the question. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
I do think though, like in terms of kind of the long form, I will say I think that can be very powerful for kind of establishing characters, even though it often sacrifices overall quality. So I watch a lot of like I tend to binge watch Netflix, the X-Files or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I have a much stronger sense of the characters and something like that than say like a Gone Home, even though like your average say X-Files episode is kind of crap.
But then you're comparing across mediums. Yeah.
Well, true, but you know what I'm saying though. Like
yeah.
Like for example, it would be hard to develop the characters in The Last of Us in 5 hours of time.
I don't know. I think that like you do it and it's still not a it's a I think that I've reached the end of this because what it ultimately what a lot of this comes down to and what I want to make sure people are not hearing when I say this. Like I understand that there are people who pick long games because they want to get more value for their money. It is not for me.
Completely different.
Yeah. It's so like don't read that into it. This is not for me to decide what is and isn't worth your money or your investment. I guess what I'm saying is like there is always something to be gained by cutting away. And even in these large things like the character development for somebody like say Arcade Gannon in Fallout New Vegas, like if you take everything that is like the movement for that character, you get less time with him than you do in a more character focused game that is just a different thing. You don't get the systems, you don't get the open world, but if that's your metric, then it's just a matter of the priority. Mm-hmm. But we don't have any of those details. We just have, is this the best or is this really good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. David, you broke us. Not you, David, but David from Facebook.
Also, Arcade Gannon, quite possibly the best name ever.
I mean, it's a little on the nose, isn't it?
was that the doctor from the like only altruistic faction?
He was the medic guy from the Followers of the Apocalypse.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Robert writes, what game do you regret not playing so far? Like it's again, this isn't he is not asking a follow-up to this previous one.
I'll jump in and say Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I never played those games, and I feel like they're so dated now that I don't know if I could play it right now and I would still be into it. So
they keep fucking re-releasing them. Yeah. I mean, so regret is a weird word for it because I could definitely just play it at any time. But Nier, I think the longer I go without playing Nier, the more I'm kind of missing out on that.
Yeah, especially does that have any kind of multiplayer or community?
No,
features?
no, and that's the missing out thing.
Gotcha.
I think for me, it's probably not playing more of City of Heroes, particularly never getting to some of the higher level zones that just do some crazy freaking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. For me, it's missing out on the Metal Gear Solid franchise.
Mm.
Yeah, pick up 5. Pick up 5 and you'll be fine.
You think I can just play that on its own?
Yeah.
5 and Snake Eater.
No, yeah.
And Revengeance.
Well, I mean, Revengeance barely counts, but yes, also play Revengeance. No,
I mean, Infidel.
Yeah,
yeah. I think that that 5 has enough context to have it stand alone. I think that like for as amazing as Snake Eater is, I think that like if you're coming to it in a modern thing, like you're starting in the middle of the story, but I think you're going to get more out of it.
It's a prequel.
I feel like an imposter.
You miss a lot of the references with Snake Eater, but it's still like the first chronologically, so it's kind of good. I don't know.
Yeah. So Snake Eater is a really logical place to start, but it's I could also see somebody coming to it and saying like, yeah, this is really dated. Like 2017 might not be the best time to like make an entry into a series with this game.
Also, going back to the news post, I would love to see the graph, the flowchart graph for Snake Eater, just because half the options would redirect to Time Paradox.
Yep. Christopher writes, do you like hot sauce? If you do, what's your go-to? If you don't, well, what's a cool sauce? What's a good cool sauce? Or what's a good cool sauce as opposed to a hot sauce?
Yeah.
Sour
we were
cream,
just waiting. We're like, we'll get it eventually.
David, you're the person who likes really, really hot food here, right?
Yeah. My overall go-to is sriracha.
Okay.
I eat a quite disturbing amount of that.
Yeah.
I've used in the time I've been home, which has been about week, 2 weeks, and I've been mooching off my parents. I have polished off like a quarter of a bottle.
Okay, yeah. See, that's the thing. That's better than doing what I do, which is I get it, and I primarily use it to mix with other sauces, and then it just sticks around until the bottom gets all funky.
Okay, yeah. I do not have that problem.
Yeah.
I'd say my number 2 is Tapatio.
Oh yeah, yeah. There, that is also really good.
Yeah. Which, that's good stuff. I don't know. For me, I like really hot things, but I don't like them not to have flavor.
Yeah.
So, like, in particular, in my experience, really hot, like, Latin American-derived hot sauces tend to just, like, overpower the flavor, whereas with, like Southeast Asian hot dishes, you can generally go as spicy as you want and it'll still have a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
Also, pro tip, apparently bay leaves are the diametric opposite of hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you ever overspice something, adding bay leaves will...
Yeah, I use bay leaves in my adobo recipe, and those things are expensive. Yeah, it is a costly spice. Yeah, Tapatio is really good. I've gotten a little bit off the sriracha tip. I'm kind of a buster when it comes to hot stuff. I like things that are just kind of like medium-ish. So
sure,
I prefer like a Cholula when I make tacos at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I like it, but it just has to be in the right zone.
So not to like go like totally hipster, like whatever, but I feel like to a certain degree, it's kind of like I like hot sauce, which is why I eat medium, because I want to taste the hot sauce.
Yeah. No, I can see that. It's not like a buffalo, like at Jungle Gyms, the crazy exotic huge grocery store. Like they have their hot sauce section. It's like inside of a large prop fire truck, and they have one case that is like for the adult themed hot sauces, which are like it just titty acid. Like
there's a real like it's the same vein that runs in a lot of like small craft breweries like Raging Bitch and all this stuff, where it's like they feel the need to give it an asinine name.
Yeah.
After making it, it's like, what should I call it? You should call it this. No, I am going to call it that.
Yeah, just labia iron. Like no, I'd rather you didn't. Ben, you live in Austin. I am led to believe that there's a lot of spicy food there. Well, what do you go for?
Yeah, I got some shout outs. The one that I consume the most, not necessarily my favorite, is like the Chipotle Tabasco sauce, because that was from Chipotle. And dude, people hate on Chipotle in Austin, so that's a weird thing. Yeah, whatever. But some Austin shout outs that I'll give is there's a place called Taco Deli here. That's a good taco place. They have their signature sauce, the Dona. It's like I think it's jalapeno based, but it's a really good spicy sauce. It's also like creamy too. And there's also a company called Yellowbird that makes really good spicy sauces. The one that I've tried is the habanero, but that one's really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
If if you're ever in Huntsville, go to Bandito Burrito and get the hot sauce. It is. I debated getting a job there simply to steal the hot sauce.
Oh, just to get a line? To get a line on the hot sauce?
Yes.
Have you guys seen the podcast Hot Ones?
No.
It's awesome. It's where celebrities eat buffalo wings in increasingly spicy levels and then hopefully make it to the end, but they're very sweaty.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that is another podcast that would have unfortunate search engine implications.
Well, there's also like hot pepper game reviews where it's like a Let's Play kind of thing, except people they make the hosts eat hot peppers before they talk.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Like, and the problem with that would just be like it'd clear out your sinuses. Like, your nose would be running the whole time.
Yep.
Dennis, hot
Sniffles
sauces.
into a microphone is no good. Yeah, I literally had hot sauce on my dinner tonight. We had grilled cheese and tomato soup, and a little hot sauce in the tomato soup is perfect.
Man, just a squirt.
Yeah, that was Frank's.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the staple in our household. I'm going to do another Chipotle reference and say smoked Tabasco, specifically smoked Tabasco. I got no love for regular Tabasco, but smoked Tabasco is on point.
Yeah.
Any of you guys ever seen the movie Bunraku?
No, I've heard the name.
I think we watched it together.
Yeah. It's. I think we did. It's a great movie, but there's a badass scene where the dude makes more sense in context, but just like eats a massive amount of wasabi, and it's totally badass. And I have since that time, because I'm an idiot, been trying to slowly build up my tolerance to wasabi.
Yeah, just one spoonful of wasabi and one spoonful of iocane powder. Sam writes. Oh, good. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, also, if you do watch that movie and like it, go on Netflix. Into the Badlands is basically if you stretched out the plot of that movie to a TV series.
Huh. Into the Badlands.
Yeah, it's actually really, really good martial arts TV series they did. Are doing.
Unlike Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah. I still don't think that was that bad.
Yeah, I have no context. I just know people don't like it. But
I mean,
the internet.
The main character can't fight is the problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'd do it. Sam writes, what is one thing that you love from a game that you dislike?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I got one.
Okay.
Dishonored. There's a lot of things I like about that game, despite not liking that game. I really like the theme. I really like the different choices you have when you're completing an individual mission, and I like how the world tracks the progress and the choices that you make. Like, I think those are all really cool features.
Yeah.
I've got one. I love watching League of Legends. Like, as an esport, purely as a spectator thing, that's really cool, and I know enough about it to appreciate the play that I'm seeing. Playing the game, I would rather eat a bag of nails. Like, it is, I'm just so bad at it, and there's so much salt that it's not worth it. So yeah.
Dark Souls 3, it ends. No. So I'm just because I have the memory of a goldfish, because I played just more things than is healthy for shows and talk about them until it falls out of my head. Shadow of Destiny. We recently did that on Watch Out for Fireballs. I love the super low rent kind of voice acting and kind of character animation and stuff. I wish that was attached to a better game. that has a lot of Shenmue or Deadly Premonition kind of possibility, and it's just nothing happens with it. So, David, how about you?
This is killing me, because I know there's been several times when I've just dumped on a game and then a couple episodes later have repeatedly referenced it, but they're honestly not coming to mind. I know I did that a couple times with Skyrim. I think I even managed to do it once or twice with Stanley Parable, but I'm completely blanking on what it is. I guess the one thing I would say is I really like the Thieves Guild stuff from Skyrim.
Yeah, I could see that.
Except for the frickin' spider heist.
Of course. Just replace them with bears, man. Sid writes, do you approach games based on the trends from when they were released? My go-to example is always using dual wielding in games from the 2000s, since seemingly every cool character from that time was considered twice as cool with twice the guns, sword, Tron discs, or whatever.
See, I feel like this one's appropriate, sort of, because basically my sense of what's cool got, like, stuck in, like, the 90s/2000s. So it's more that every character I play is, like, a 90s action hero. So I'm basically always dual-wielding all the things.
Yeah, it's Neo's on parade.
Yes.
I think it's important to approach them with both. So the answer is yes, but only partially. You cannot just immerse yourself in the expectations of the time, because that gets you making excuses for things that would never fly now.
Yeah, I almost have, and I'm taking this in terms of like the poster child weapon or archetype for the game. I almost have an aversion to it to the point where I go for the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bloodborne, the Sawtooth, I forget the actual name of it, but the weapon that was kind of in all the previews and all the box art. Yeah, there you go. Like I didn't touch that once. Went straight for the thing that looked least like that. I was this close to using the threaded cane, but I had got a pro tip that is garbage. If you're just looking to play the game. But I went with the axe. And in general, in games, I'll always trend towards the niche or weird way to play first, rather than like I said, what's on the box art.
Yeah. Ben?
I don't know if I have to do this all that often, because I typically don't go back and play games that are super old. So I don't know. This hasn't really come up too much for me.
Yeah, Ben lives for the present.
As I play a 2 or 3 year old game, Rocket League.
Yeah. that's present.
Rocket League exists in the infinite now.
Yep. No, it is unstuck in time. Yeah. Greg writes, in a modern game with voices, do you prefer the main character being silent, with dialogue options for you to pick, for example, Fallout New Vegas, or for a dialogue option to pick from, and then the main character speaks an expanded version of that, for example, Dragon Age and Mass Effect? And I'll also include Telltale stuff like The Walking Dead in that as well, because they do similar things.
I would say...
Ooh.
All right, everyone answer at once.
Triple toss.
No, I'd rather we didn't. Ben, go.
I think I like whatever gives you the most interesting options in the game. And so from my experience, like the Knights of the Old Republic route, where your person's a mute, but like they can pick the different options that are really cool. I think since I've seen that lead to cooler options, I like that more. If you can get the voice acting to match that up, then cool. But yeah.
I'm pretty down with your character not being voiced. I like what that brings to something like a Deus Ex. That is not an opinion that I've always held. And I think that
but the voices are essential to Deus Ex. You have to have a horrible voice actor for the main character, or it is in a Deus Ex game.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't have J.C. Denton's voice in there, the game would be a bomb.
You can't have empathy for him for always needing to take a shit. So
a bomb is a poor choice for a close range weapon.
But yeah, I think there's a place, like in a more cinematic game, like it probably has it works for Mass Effect in a lot of ways, but yeah, I'd rather my character not be voiced, just because that expands again the possibility space. That is Pee-wee's word of the day. Yeah, expands the possibility space of what devs are able to do, because they can just write stuff as opposed to needing to get people into a booth.
Probably my preference is kind of Fallout New Vegas, followed by kind of Mass Effect type thing. The one I definitely do not like is having a truly mute character.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it can be effective, but I think the two big problems with it are one, if you have overt character interaction, it quickly becomes awkward.
Strong silent type, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's problematic if you establish a precedent and then the series goes in a different direction.
Yeah.
So
Dead Space.
Dead Space. Actually, despite the fact, I think one of the strongest examples would be Half-Life. The later parts of Half-Life 2, where it was blatantly not appropriate, but it was such a iconic part of the series.
Yeah.
I would say one kind of side thing is I think that the Deus Ex Human Revolution thing for the negotiation, where they would just give you the kind of sentiment you expressed, was kind of cool, and I think is probably the only negotiation mechanic in a game I've ever seen that I've liked.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing that breaks all of this is Alpha Protocol. Sorry, Dennis.
See, yeah. I what I didn't like about Alpha Protocol vis-a-vis, I'm not sure if that's the right word. Wow.
Regarding?
Yes, concordantly. With Fallout New Vegas. Wow, with Deus Ex is the fact that it was too easy to read into what the character would want you to say versus having to think about the psychology of the character.
That's by and large pretty true, but there are some really good subversions of that.
Okay, yeah, I did not get very far because the hacking game is impossible.
Yeah, yeah, they tutorialize around that, just understanding that somebody will approve of one approach as opposed to the other, but there's a lot to be gained with certain characters by intentionally pissing them off, or by baiting them with information that is going to come out from one particular thing.
Okay.
I feel like they need to combine the psychology aspect of Deus Ex and the facial capture of LA Noire. That would be an awesome game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I prefer voiced. I like games with a strong character versus just you are the character.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to mean that they need to, be voiced and have a perspective and everything. I think you can definitely do that kind of dialogue choosing wrong. And conversely, you can do it well. It works well, when what David was talking about, where you can kind of choose the motivation and then watch how that plays out, because that I feel gives me a chance to actually enjoy the cutscenes and be surprised versus reading the line and then hearing the line spoken.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying. It can be done very poorly. I think of in Mass Effect 2, there was some female reporter, and I was playing a male shepherd.
I know what you're talking about.
Who was badgering me with questions, and I got the option to interrupt her, and that's literally what it said, interrupt. And my way of interrupting was to punch her in the face.
Yeah.
As you do.
I didn't.
I think in Mass Effect 1, that is what happened. Hey, interrupt her here. In Mass Effect 2, it is a renegade option.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought I was going to be rude to her. I didn't think I was going to punch a woman in the face.
Yeah.
I like the Jack and Daxter approach, where the world had a limited amount of voices in it, so one character has to be mute. They just switch it around.
Yep. And Ben just shared a picture from LA Noire of the least subtle. The least subtle facial cue. Oh gosh, I love that game so goddamn much.
There's one I regret not playing. I mean, I played it, I didn't finish it.
Right. I mean, it's you probably got your value out of it, maybe. But it's I enjoy that game quite a bit. It is one of those things. Just go listen to that WAF episode where it's very clear that yes, that was hand tailored, made for me. So we've been going for a long time on this. I think that's where we need to cut it off. I will save the other responses that we got. We will drag those up at a later time. Thank you, everybody, for writing in, especially at late notice there. I appreciate it. If you want to participate in these in the future, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast, where you can like us and then get those updates when they go out, usually on Tuesday afternoons. The grind. Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the things that we have been playing over the past week or so. Let's see. We were all here last time. All that I have is Zelda, so I'll just get that out of the way here very soon. Boy, this game is really good. Since last week, I've been playing around off of the plateau, and this is, I think, really one of the first times in a very long time, maybe since Skyrim, where I am engaging with an open world game in the way that one does. I'm not following the main path. Like, I'm just like, hey, that looks like a shrine over there. Let me go over to that. Mm-hmm. And so on one hand, it's kind of frustrating because, like, I like to feel like I'm making progress in a game, and that is at odds with just the desire that I have to just kind of see what's over the next hill. Mm-hmm. So good.
But most importantly, can you kill animals and take their outsides?
Maybe, like, I've killed a shitload of foxes and taken just, like, generic meat. Like, everything, when you put it over fire, just turns into a seared steak.
That is disturbing.
Yeah. But I'm coming up with lots of great new recipes, too, which is cool and fun. Yeah.
They're just all seared steak.
Most of them involve that, yeah.
A million ways to make seared steak.
Yeah.
So what happens if you tried on a cuckoo? Are they still immortal and vengeful?
I've honestly been too scared to try.
Good.
I don't know if I'm going to have to restart.
What's the most entertaining way you've died so far?
Oh man, a lot of freezing to death. No.
Oh no.
It's a thing that happens in the game. Like,
is that for real?
Yeah, it models temperature. So, like, if you're in the desert without the proper clothing, or if you're in if you're in mountainous snowy areas at night without the proper clothing, like, you will take damage from the heat unless you eat the proper things, right?
Huh.
Yeah. Just a lot of falling off of shit while I've been aiming, honestly, like being very careless about stuff, like thinking I'm going to do a whole do a whole cool John Woo kind of thing. Like, nope, I'm just dead. At one point I was gliding down from a tower, and there was there are these like big guardian kind of robot things that will shoot you with lasers. They'll wreck your shit up real good. And I was fine. I was like, maybe I can try to like fire from midair, because if you draw your bow while you're in midair, everything goes into slow motion. And so, like, I will, just plink them and then close the distance, because I was like gliding into a forest. That also ties into another story. But I was gliding into a forest, like, okay, so I'm going to plink, and then I'm going to get out of it, and okay, so plink, get out of aiming, and then redeploy my glider. Except I was out of stamina.
Oh, no.
I was out of stamina, and if I didn't try to redeploy, if I had just like gone, I would have been okay. But yeah, I got zapped in midair and then fell and then died that way. The other time I was trying to approach the same guardian, and I thought, hey, these trees will be good cover. Trees will fall down if they are attacked.
By you or by the guardian?
Either.
Ah, okay.
So you got Crisis.
Yeah. I got Far Cry, where it's kind of like, yeah, I'm just kind of coming up, and then tree falls, and then I pick a direction to run, and it was the wrong one, and a tree got me. Yeah.
Of all the 360 degrees, you had to choose that one.
Yep. Yeah. No. So it's very good. I think the arc that this is going to take is I'm either going to get bored and put it down, or I'm just going to get to a point where I'm like, man, it would really be great if I X, Y, or Z'd, and then just like I will get on the critical path and then continue until it's done.
and then they've got you.
Maybe. Like, I understand, like, if you go to one of the, like, if you complete the 4 main dungeons, you actually get some really cool, like, abilities and tools. And those make me, like, I'm excited about that prospect because, again, like, that just gives you more shit to do in the playground, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. I talked to one of my friends that played it, and apparently there's some sort of, like, I don't know, like, lore collectibles or something like that. But she was saying basically, like, the first rock she picked up in the game, like, had one of those under it. So now she has to pick up every rock she sees in the game.
Oh, yeah, that's her life now. Yeah.
Yeah, one rock, therefore every rock.
Yep. That's how Mystery in Games works. Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't mean to hijack this right out of the gate. Do you have any other questions about Zelda and the way it works?
Is there like a percentage counter to tell you how close you are to the end, or are you just kind of completely lost?
Yeah, I haven't even looked.
Cool.
Yeah.
You have to unlock
that. Have you determined which of the 3 timelines this happens in?
Couldn't care less. Ben?
No, I don't have any questions. I want to play it eventually, so I want to know as little about it as possible.
That's very good. Yeah, that's what you need to know. Full-throated endorsement, from my 12 hours of playing it. So
I feel like that's enough to judge a game.
Yeah, but I haven't even done the first dungeon.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's just like, ooh, that looks pretty cool over there. Like, literally, you just crest a new hill and there's a whole bunch of new shit for you to do.
See, this is the problem I ran into with HZD, where you just I was almost loath to start a story quest for fear that it might move me towards the end of the game.
Wait, Hark Z Danieluski?
Yes.
Okay. No, I mean let's move on to that. Tell me about, because you finished Horizon Zero Dawn, right?
I think I said last podcast that the right time for me to talk about it again would be when I finished, and I finished it. So
yeah, oh my God. That'd be quick.
I can well I got drawn in and definitely Critical Path Johnny the last part of it.
What was your level when you finished?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I stopped looking at my overall level and it was always in context of how many skill points I had.
Okay.
So I never really paid attention to I'm level 30 or not. It was just, I've unlocked 3 more skill points. I should buy something. Which funny enough, I bought the skill. So there's a skill where you if you press R1 while you're aiming, you will knock another arrow and fire 2 arrows at once for double damage.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you can upgrade that to be able to do it with 3 arrows at once, which is badass. But I unlocked those skills so late in the game that just my muscle memory never did it. Like I did not use it once, despite it being it would have been really helpful. But I'd get to the end of the fight and just be like, man, I was in the zone there and did not think to do that new thing, that new verb that I have. So
yeah, I unlocked it early in the game and I had the same issue as well, where I always forget to do that.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of ingrained. It's not something you think to do in shooters. Like I can't think of another shooter that has something like that.
Well, since there's like an animation time for her loading the second and third arrow, it's almost just as quick just shooting a single arrow 3 times or 4 times. So.
Oh, interesting. I never even saw the animation. So
yeah.
I really want to know if that's actually physically possible. That's been bothering me for a while now.
There's only one way to find out.
Find Legolas.
Yeah.
Bring me Legolas.
Yes. I'll also say, following up from I talked about early on that I loved that the story seemed focused on the present and the kind of the personal side of things, and they weren't going tripping over themselves to explain how the world ended.
That changed.
Yeah, they wind up talking quite a bit about what happened, but they do it in a way that I appreciated. So they gave the kind of main character personal motivation for caring about finding out. So it was never, hey, we want to tell the story of the end of the world. There was always a very personal reason for the character, for Aloy to be kind of learning about this
in ancient times.
Yeah, which made it more palatable, and I also think they did a really good job with that story. It is a version of the apocalypse that I can't think of any direct analogs for. Without going into spoilers, that's about all I can say. but it's like I thought every way the world could end was kind of played out. And this one kind of found kind of a new approach to it that was very interesting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So they done the thing I didn't want them to did, but they did it in a good way. So
yeah, didn't turn out being as terrible as you expected it to.
Yeah. That said, just overall for the game, now that I've got the complete picture, I think they were incredibly successful at establishing just a vibrant world that I want to inhabit. I think I talked about this on the Slack, but I am very excited to spend more time in the game world. I'm not necessarily excited to play through the story again.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad I did it once. There was a lot there that was worth seeing. But I am not super interested in going back and retracing the story bits.
I mean, do they give you that option? Do they follow through you where when credits roll you have to start a new game?
No, they do it right, which is they drop you at just before the final mission.
Okay.
Like, congratulations, you finish the game, you get all the exposition, final cutscene, and then you get a little text box that says, we've started, or we've reverted you to just before X mission. So you're welcome to explore the world all you like. And obviously you could go start a new game manually, but there's not a new game plus that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But man, the final sequence is strong. Like that, they really, really stuck the landing. In that, like I said, they did a great job with this overarching world. They also did a good job of everyone who was involved in the final battle I cared about. So there are some characters that are just duds and throwaways in the game, but there was a strong enough core of people there, and it's basically everyone who lives in Meridian, that I really felt invested in the people who were participating in the final battle with me. So that was a really good piece of it. The whole final sequence does this great arc. It starts out with like a really big empowerment fantasy, where just you're given some new equipment that you haven't had access to for the rest of the game, and you get to kind of play with that and feel way more powerful than you have at other parts of the game. But then for the final part, boss, it strips that away from you, and you're back down, quote unquote, to your base arsenal. So just the tools you've been using throughout the entire game.
Oh, nice.
And it is a really, really strong just final test of all the pieces. And again, I won't say specifics about it because I know Ben is on, and I hope you're going to see this game through to completion. But so I appreciate the final sequence, and I was amazed upon looking at the map when I was done with the game, or when I was through that sequence. There was a good 20% of the map, I would say, that I still have yet to explore. So the world just, in addition to being vibrant, just feels expansive. Like there was this tribe referenced, and I met a single member of the tribe, but I haven't, I think it's in the south, which is the area I haven't explored, but I just haven't interacted with them. So that's interesting for me to be like, okay, I want to go down there now just to see if that tribe is indeed down there. Like what's there to assume. And interestingly, photo mode is going to be, I think, my driving force for continuing to play the game. And just in that, I think it'll be fun to go and like start shit and try to take pictures in the middle of a fight, or jump off a cliff and take pictures while I'm falling, or really try to nail that perfect waterfall climbing shot, or all these different things. Like that is what I'm most interested to go do, is these kind of like photo safaris in the game. And that feature alone, which, I was about to say that it was just kind of the throwaway that they put in there, but it was clearly made with a ton of love, is going to drive me to enjoy this game well beyond the story content being done. In fact, that is the one thing that I could see getting me to go through the story again, is to replay specific moments of the story that are kind of unique, and go into photo mode and take pictures from those encounters or from those moments. That I think would be super interesting. So this is going to turn me into a bit of a photojournalist. But highly recommend if you haven't gotten that from the past couple of weeks when I've been talking about it. And I like I said at the start, they're incredibly successful at establishing a world that I think is going to support just a great series of games going forward.
Nice. They leave it open, right?
Yeah, so they 99% of everything is resolved. There's one big hanging question that they don't answer as an intentional, hey, this is going to drive future games, but it's not like there was a cliffhanger or anything like that.
Yeah, or it doesn't just like end with, and then all of the giant robot dinosaurs fell over and died.
Yeah, no, there's still robot dinosaurs.
Right. So what are you going to move on to next?
I got to figure that out.
Are you at the office tomorrow?
I am. Well, I'm trying to decide. I could work from home tomorrow, unless I have good reason.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about bringing in Uncharted 4?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Yeah, I was going to say.
Might have to go to that.
Yeah, well, also like don't drive to the do not drive down to the office just to get this thing. Like we can arrange another time.
Yeah, no, there's a legitimately good chance I'll be there regardless.
Okay, well, I'll stash it in my backpack for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know what I decide. I was gonna say is I now that I've finished Horizon Zero Dawn, I can comfortably tell David, come pick up your PS4 anytime. I feel like I've sated that pretty good. I went out on a high note.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I also don't want to. I don't want to keep David from getting his thing back.
I honestly, I'll be buying a new PS4 so quickly. Per your story. Kole, about the new PS4 coming out at a $300 price point, I think.
Yeah.
It will be very easy for me to pick up a new machine. So I will not be PS4-less for long.
Okay.
Whenever that happens. Anyway. Yeah, I could see that would be a great one to go to. We'll see. I'm not sure. I did try as another game, Drawn to Death.
That came out. That was a freebie.
Yep. Which I love those. So playing that, it's David Jaffe's new game. Very much in the thematic ethos of the Twisted Metal series. Like it's very clear. It's got that 90s fuck you kid aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
The art style specifically is that kind of will always look good. Like everything looks like it was scribbled in a kid's notebook. Down to the opening of the game is actually like a live action cinematic of you're sitting in like a science class and there's like a teacher up front, talking, giving a lesson. I was kind of curious to sit and see how much of it they actually recorded. But what the way you access the menu is you look down at your notebook, and start paging through that. So
nice.
That looks really good. That plays well throughout it.
What kind of game is it?
Oh yeah, so it's a third-person arena shooter.
Okay.
It's what I played was 2-on-2 combat, and there's a variety of different characters. Each character has 2 special moves that they can do. Okay. It might be two or three. Just there are special attributes for them. So like the guy that I played as, who was like your generic punk rocker dude, could whip out his guitar and summon a demon, or he could play a guitar solo, and as long as you kept your enemies within a certain range of you, at the end of the guitar solo, their heads would explode.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
This sounds like a very good fit for David Jaffe, actually.
Yeah. It's got his fingerprints all over it. It's a shooter in the vein of Halo, I would say, where when you get into combat with people, you're going to be kind of like jumping around and looking at them for a while. At least that's the way I played Halo. I'm not a headshot expert like some on this podcast.
Okay, you don't need to compliment me. It's fine. We know that I can beat you, Dennis.
Oh man, but yeah. So you'll kind of, one of my weapons was an RPG, and that only took off like a third of someone's health bar if I had a direct hit.
And
there's a long.
People are very sturdy in this game.
Yes. So it is much more about kind of positioning and teaming up on people, and it's got a little bit of that. MOBA is the wrong word for it, but you're more trying to get mismatches and find advantageous environments for your weapons.
Yeah.
You're not just trying to have the fastest reflexes.
Yeah, it's more about like avatar ability versus player ability.
Exactly.
Not more about, but you know what I mean. Like that
has a stronger influence. Yeah. And the in general, like the physics are very floaty. It's got kind of an old school feel to it. There are health pickups in the arena. So it's, it's really an ode to that 90s era, what kids thought was cool then, I guess, which can be grating, when, again, playing as this punk rocker guy, he feels the need to call everyone a cocksucker.
Ah, jeez.
The 13th time that comes across, it's like, okay, novel once, maybe twice, and then it's,
Yeah, that's a shame.
So it's got a little bit too much of that jaffiness to it.
Yeah.
But the core gameplay behind it is really solid.
Yeah.
Didn't try any other characters than the main one, because that was the guy who was in the tutorial. But the tutorial does bear mentioning, or is worth mentioning, that it just berates you the entire time, which I found hilarious.
It's okay.
It's like, there's like a little frog character that's leading you through it, and he's like, welcome to the tutorial. If I have to tell you how to look around and shoot, I'm going to swallow my tongue. You figure it out. And of course, it's right stick to look and R2 to fire.
Yeah.
But just, it's like, here's a double jump. By the way, I've literally seen a baby make this jump, so don't screw it up.
Jeez. Then why have a tutorial?
Yeah. Well, it is actually useful, and you do learn the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
But just the way they do it is pretty.
But it's Dick's Last Resort, the tutorial.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe open the crab up before you eat it, you dipshit.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
Dick's Last tutorial. Yeah,
it's a safe environment, but not a verbally safe environment.
As in, nobody will physically attack you unless you're a waiter.
Yeah. So enjoyed that. I don't think that is the next capital T capital N thing I'm on to, but we'll see.
Cool. Yeah. So the logical next step from that would be Ben, because you probably have played more Horizon, but I will let you lead with what you want to lead with.
I actually have not played that. I haven't played a whole lot, but I've played a little bit. Continue to play Rocket League, of course. But I started playing Among the Sleep this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was in my backlog. I'm only like maybe 3 or 4 hours into it, I think. So I've only gotten through maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 different areas.
It's a pretty short game. I think that you're more of the way through it than you think you are.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that, I guess. I guess I kind of went into this blind. I think it was on my wish list from our conversations on the podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, you play as a baby, and maybe something bad is happening, but it's a very subjective experience, I guess. Yeah, so
it's like little kid dream anxiety kind of stuff. Like, you wake up in your crib and you walk through like the back of the closet into a nightmare like Tim Burton world.
Yeah, and so you don't know. Yeah, so you don't really understand what's happening. Is this a kid's dream, or is it his interpretation of what the environment is? So yeah. But at its heart, it's just kind of like a walk around puzzle game. The puzzles aren't extraordinarily complex, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean they're just about managing your limitations as a literal toddler.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most interesting thing, is the mechanics of walking and crawling. The control system is as if you were a kid, and apparently it's faster if you crawl than if you walk.
Yep.
If you walk and run, you'll eventually like fall down and stumble. Yeah, so there's kind of a cute, but it's I don't know. I mean, it's not, it hasn't blown me away yet, but I don't know. It's mildly interesting.
Yeah, the ending gets kind of interesting, but it also gets incredibly overt with what the game is about. So when it starts feeling like something is hitting you over the back of the head with a point, that is you'll know you're almost done.
You are nearing the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I figured that was the monster like stabbing you in the back.
Yeah.
But yeah,
cool.
That's all I got pretty much. I've had a pretty late week.
That's understandable. I mean, I didn't play shit last week. It's last week I did Zelda. Shit.
What What we've got to do now is there's a multiplayer game where one person plays as the baby and the other plays as the parent, and the baby's trying to find a way to like kill themselves in the house. Oh jeez. The parents trying to keep them safe.
Oh yeah, who's your daddy, right?
What? Is that an actual game?
The name of the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Wait a minute, Dennis. Were you talking about an actual product?
Yes, this is a real game.
Huh.
Yeah, open up Steam and type in "Who's your daddy."
I was going to say that is a close to Googleable name for
but it's not unsteamable yet, despite the number of disturbing anime games.
Yeah. Yep, there we go. Who's your daddy minus Sakura for some reason. Yeah, I had no idea this existed.
Yeah, anyway. So the logical next step from Among the Sleep.
Yeah. Cool. And David, what you been playing?
So I've been playing Warframe. I think we've basically determined that Warframe is to David as Rocket League is to Ben.
Yeah, you were shame in that. You were playing it with some Duckfeed peeps, right?
I actually haven't gotten a chance to do anything other than pickup groups recently.
Okay.
Or I've pretty much just been playing, in between, doing responsible things.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a couple of Duckfeed folks talking about playing it online.
Yeah, I think unfortunately most of our people are on the PlayStation 4 version.
Oh, yep, that'd do it.
Yeah. I wish they'd make it cross-platform, because I think it's a game that, like, other than PvP, you probably could.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to think overall, just kind of more ninja shooting.
Does that mean you are a ninja who's shooting, or you are shooting ninjas?
Either?
Some of both.
Yes.
Usually you're the ninja that's shooting, but sometimes there's some ninjas that also need shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I got a ability that basically allows me to go invisible and one-shot people, so that's kind of cool. I do have to say what I did have a pretty awesome experience. One of the mission types, I don't know, you have some sort of primary objective, but then there's a secondary objective that is to find these resource caches in just randomly hidden throughout the level, and you can get some really great loot from those. And the way the game works is basically after you beat a mission, you then have to run to the extraction point, and once half your team is there, a countdown starts, and once it expires, everyone automatically leaves, even if they're not at the point. So we had one member of our team that apparently actually knew where some of the loot caches were hidden, and so everyone else is at the point, and the guy is running around and grabs the last loot cache right as the timer hits 0, which, I don't know, I feel like in the telling is probably not that interesting, but it was, I don't know, it was very, very fun, cheering for him and stuff like that in the moment.
Did you guys get to split the loot then afterwards?
Yeah, so pretty much everyone, everyone gets everything that drops. It's one of those sorts of things. But right now I'm trying to basically the way you level up your overall level is by leveling up unique pieces of equipment. So I'm right now just kind of going through just the random weapons and using them, which is kind of fun. I think my favorite recent one is there's basically a flak cannon that the longer you charge it down, the tighter the spread is. So it can either just mow through groups, or you can use it to like mid-range snipe people with a shotgun. So I don't know, it's fun, stabbing and shooting the things.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear that you had like good experiences with randos, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, overall, my experiences have been almost completely positive. I will say, like, there are just some funny things because actually going back to something Kole asked last time, there's apparently like I think 32 different frames, effectively 32 different classes, and a lot of the abilities, if someone takes the time to like upgrade them and modify them, can easily affect like most of the map and things like that. So one of the fun things is I fairly routinely I am in matches where because of some ability, the rules are not applying and I have no idea what's going on.
I'm flying. Why am I flying?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty for example, there's an ability that basically makes all of the enemies within a wide radius move in slow motion, and when you shoot them, they explode. And so it's a thing where just you'll be running around doing your thing, and all of a sudden you'll start like shooting one guy and taking out an entire crowd. Similarly, they just updated and accidentally overbalanced a character who basically specializes in taking enemies in and out of an alternate dimension. And so from another player's perspective, you'll just randomly not be able to interact with an enemy. But kind of more entertainingly, they massively overbalanced it to the point where even halfway competent person playing that class with pretty good resources can simply kill everything on the map. Just stand in the middle of the map and just keep pressing the button, which is one of those things that, like, I'm sure will become boring in the long term if they didn't fix it, but in the short term is a lot of fun. So, yeah. It's very much one of those sorts of games where, like, there's a lot of things that, like, maybe don't exactly always work the way they're supposed to, but it's really entertaining the way they work now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you played anything else?
No, that's been the other thing. I guess I'll have to steal back the PlayStation and
and that'll open things up.
Yeah,
start the clog.
When did the PlayStation 4 launch?
End of 2013, I think.
Yeah, I've successfully gone practically 5 years without buying this thing. I probably should get around to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, so are you now going to get one?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds like an episode to me. Do you all want to button it up?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to episode number 193 of The Level. Getting up there. I'm trying.
We should probably figure out what we're gonna do for 200.
Yeah, we probably ought to. By
which I mean procrastinate and then panic in like the last day before we record.
Yeah. Well, okay. So how about this? Like, if it's just us trying to decide, that's what's going to happen. If people have ideas for what they would like to see with episode 200, let us know in the Slack channel.
Oh yeah. There you go.
I mean, in one way, that is me being incredibly lazy and making it somebody else's responsibility. And the other way, we kind of know how this is going to shake out if we don't.
It's not a bug; it's a feature.
Yeah.
Isn't there that one murder penguin game where you have like 200 lives?
What?
Yeah. What?
Oh, yeah. No, you're talking about Prinny. Can I really be a hero, dude? Yeah, for the PSP.
Yeah. I feel like that was a fairly accurate description.
Yeah, the murder penguin game. Yeah, no, you have 1,000 lives for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're a ways away from
episodes.
That. Yeah. just a few trying to think of the call to action stuff. Like, it's a busy time for the network. Like, over the next few weeks you're going to be hearing some stuff, but as of right now it's kind of calm. So take this opportunity to tell friends about this particular show. And also, check out our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, where you can support a bunch of shows that are about games and culture and things like that. Also, it's been... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say you should check out the Slack. Our page for the Slack, or our channel for the Slack, has a spoilerific HCD discussion thread.
That'll be gone by the time this episode comes out.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
That's true. Strike that from the record.
Yeah. So I think that's everything. Regardless, come and talk in Slack, and there can be more spoiler threads in there, and those are hidden from general view. So like, don't be afraid to like walk in there if you don't want that game spoiled for yourself.
Well, be afraid, but not for that reason.
I mean, there's lots of reasons to be afraid. It's planet Earth, man. Welcome. Yeah, I think that's everything. So I have been Kole Ross at Kole Ross on Twitter.
I've been Dennis Furia at dfuria on Twitter. Kole, I'm so glad you did it right this time.
Thanks, man. I feel good.
It's nice to be back.
David Moneysmith at Moneysmith777 on the Twitter.
It's nice to continue the overtalk. Ben Merkel at Merkelizer on Twitter.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, so titles. What you guys got?
I've got 4.
Okay.
So I've got Fun Simulator. I've got Ben Lives in the Present.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
I've got One Rock, Therefore Every Rock.
I've got that. I was also going to petition that we use the therefore symbol.
Yeah, that would not render in most.
Yeah.
I was going to further petition that we should just be completely compact and have it be there exists a rock, therefore the full set of rocks.
Can I truncate that to therefore, comma, every rock?
Oh yeah, that works.
Okay.
And then Dick's Last Resort, the tutorial.
Can I truncate that as Dick's Last Tutorial?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like someone else might have captured that. So.
I mean, no, I'm just thinking about titling these and sending them out.
Sure. Yeah, Dick's Last Tutorial is good.
Yeah. Ben, what you got?
All right, I got PS4less. I've got nothing. I've got Stump Walking. I've got Of All the 360 Degrees.
Okay.
And I've got Bring Me Legolas.
I also had Bring Me Legolas.
Okay.
In addition, I had Googleable, Titty Acid.
Oh man, sorry, you caught me off guard with Titty Acid. Okay.
Possibility Space, Got Far Cried, and then my 2 repeats were One Rock, Therefore Every Rock, and Bring Me Legolas.
Okay. I have It's Basically Pong, Root and Leaf, talking about those charts, and then Concordantly. Okay, so I've got 2 ones that I'm kind of leaning toward. Censorship be damned, Titty Acid is really funny. I know I said it, but just presented out of context, that's funny. I also like Ben Lives in the Present because it's been forever since we've done a Ben title.
I don't know. I don't mind losing to Titty Acid. It's pretty fun.
Oh, that sentence is in there. No, there was one. Ben, go through yours again real quick.
Stump Walking.
Stump Walking might have been it. No, there was a different one.
PS4 list. I've got nothing. Stump Walking, Of All the 360 Degrees, and Bring Me Legolas.
Okay, no, it was Stump Walking then. Yeah. Okay. That's the one
I've got Stump Walking stylized as all one word. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, either of those are good.
Cool.
What's the length of our recent titles? Ben Lives in the Present. Present is a little bit long.
We've been airing short recently.
Okay.
So let me build up some surplus. Is that how this works?
I think so. I think so. Please Don't Yell at Me was a little bit long. Noted Serial Killer and Dab Expert was really long, but most of these are either 3 or 4 words. Lots of 2 and 3 as well. I don't know. So Titty Acid I think is funny. It's funny in and out of context, but I think Ben Lives in the Present is pretty good.
It's also just we've built up a certain standard of having Ben-centric titles. So.
Yeah. It's just been a long time since we've done it.
I'm not necessarily saying we should do this, but I would enjoy kicking it to the Slack, saying choose between these two, just because they're both ones that are like, what the hell, out of context.
Anywhere else on the internet, I would say Titty Acid would win hands down.
Yeah.
I still think it's favored, but I think it would be a closer race in our Slack than it would.
Yeah.
And heaven help you if you tried this poll in the /r/alien porn.
Yeah, no. That like both of those are compelling enough arguments to just make Ben Lives in the Present the one. Teddy Acid is fun as a joke, but
good stuff.
Do we have standards here or something?